What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and a lot of you might not be familiar with kind of my journey in YouTubing. Of course, it started with a computer repair channel way back in the day, then a remote control car channel, then I think, Magic the Gathering channel. No, I had the Magic the Gathering channel first. Then I did the remote control car channel. But a lot of you may remember I'm famously one of the few players in history to have a lifetime ban from Magic the Gathering organized events for making fun of the CEO of the company ruthlessly online. That said, Magic the Gathering is a game that has been a part of my life since 1994. It's the best game it's the best game on the planet run by the worst people on the planet. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like chess plus math. With mythical creatures. You know, like Tim Pool famously loves the game. I love the game. Hasbro also owns D&D, and D&D has been getting more woke every single year. It's actually insane how woke the stupid game is. But now, after disrespecting Gary Gygax in the last week, the founder of Gen Con, the best gaming event in the world, now it looks like Elon Musk may be purchasing Hasbro to save D&D. I mean, I get that maybe it's not the best thing to have one guy own like literally everything in our lives. But if that's going to be the case, I'm happy it's Elon. By the way, today will be I would say probably the last day that I feel confident in you ordering these amazing Tailgates for Trump cookbooks for Christmas. You know, they take 2 to 8 days to ship. Our last order is arriving here on Tuesday, so we're going to fill all the final orders next week. It'll all be in the mail by the end of next week. Just 50 hilarious meme-tastic recipes. The perfect gift. It's available in a bundle format or one-off. You know, the Black Friday sale is, if you want to make sure you get it, order it today or over the weekend. A lot of people giving it out to a bunch of people for Christmas. It's at tailgates4trump.com/store. Link in the description. Now, Elon Musk hints at buying Hasbro for D&D after announcing his own AI game studio. The same day Elon Musk announced that he would be starting his own AI game studio to make video games great again, he teased purchasing Hasbro simply to secure the rights to D&D. Elon Musk may be the world's wealthiest man, but he's also an elite gamer, having shockingly become Diablo 4's best player in the world after setting a world record on the game's hardest challenge. On November 27th, after hearing a fan complain about manipulative BS that goes into game development, Musk announced plans to change things. He said too many game studios are owned by massive corporations. XAI is going to make an AI game studio to make games great again. Now, I don't know if that will make games great again or not, because I do think, people are the part that make games great. But, just about every game that I've played in my life is infected by the woke mind virus, whether it's Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, in particular D&D. These games have all gotten super woke over the years because they let all these dork far lefties community manage in them. Too many game studios are owned. Then Elon Musk toys with buying Hasbro for D&D. Back on November 22nd, Musk took issue with D&D product lead Jason Tondreau's comment on the 40th anniversary of making D&D book, where he distanced himself from the fantasy tabletops game's creator in the book's foreword. Gary Gygax, the whole reason the game exists. Nobody, and I mean nobody, gets to trash Gary E. Gygax and the geniuses who created Dungeons and Dragons. By the way, I'm good friends, or I guess I've been friendly with Alex, his son, and he's a really good guy. Son or grandson? I can't remember. I think it's son. I'm pretty sure his son. He likes to play Magic. He plays a lot of games too. You see here, D&D creators, Gygax and others, are erased and slandered at the same time. WotC and Hasbro just released a new player's handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide, as well as the 40th anniversary of making D&D, In the book, Ford slams the original creators and attempts to distance themselves. This game wouldn't exist without Gary Gygax. Gen Con wouldn't exist without Gary Gygax. The fact that so many people are quick to, slander the man just shows a level of disrespect. You see, this guy co-created one of the most important games of all time, but you hardly ever hear about it from current IP holders. I wonder why that is. This is from Corpse Kings, right? And then here, some language in the first iteration of D&D presents a moral quandary. The documents reproduced in this book include many pages of charts and tables alongside monsters, spells, and magic terms, but that game content includes a virtual catalog of insensitive and derogatory language. Gee, I wonder if maybe that's part of what made the game good. Kind of the uncensored, freewheeling nature of it. I just wonder. Some people have charitably ascribed the language to the authors working from bad assumptions in the 70s. Historical wargamers in America were predominantly white, middle-class men. It isn't surprising that they would dub a class of soldiers the fighting man, but in the pages of Greyhawk, the description of the Queen of Chaotic Dragons includes a dig at women's lib. The misogyny is revealed as a conscious choice. Maybe just don't say anything. Maybe just shut your stupid mouth. There's always the option of just shutting the hell up. It's just like, who is it, Red Hat Studios or something like that, Evil Hat Games. We're happy to use all of H.P. Lovecraft's IP to make profit, but we're going to put a big forward in all the products and say, ooh, he was an evil man because 100 years ago he had, named his cat a naughty word. You see, note that the rules for Fantastic Medieval Wargames campaign that made up the original D&D were created and sold to a wargaming community that was almost exclusively white middle-class men. The rules compiled here offer little by way of rules for other players. You could be whatever you wanted to be in these games. You didn't need to be a white guy. You could be an elf, a goblin, an orc. You see Ben Riggs. Why then has a response been outraged from various corners of the internet? Well, authors John Peterson and John Tondro mentioned that early D&D made light of slavery, disparaged women, and gave Hindu deities hit points. What? So, what? Of course, I'm sorry, but Holy Ish are the proud white male novelists, the effing worst. This is, basically Gen Con. The guy that runs Gen Con is a really nice guy. He's like a traditional liberal. I've talked to him a few times. Pretty decent guy. Except for when I got physically attacked at Gen Con and they banned me instead of the guy that attacked me. Well, actually, they did ban him too, I think, too, but he's probably already back. You see Babylon Bee editor Kyle Mann in response to woke D&D critics revealing that Gary Gygax found Christ before death and should be celebrated. You see Elon Musk. Nobody gets to trash Gary Gygax and the geniuses who created Dungeons and Dragons. What the F is wrong with Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast? May they burn in hell. Yeah. I 100% support that. Magic the Gathering has been bleeding its whale customers for a very long time, and quite frankly hasn't been doing anything to attract new players. They put a bunch of trans, characters in the games, and guess what? The 3 trans players that were interested in Magic the Gathering were already playing it. None of this stuff actually works. It's ridiculous. Say his name, Gary Gygax. He founded the D&D convention, Gen Con. Gen Con 0 was in his basement in 1967. You literally owe him everything. You see Gen Con saying, "We acknowledge the history and traditions of Gen Con and its place in the world of gaming. We seek to honor the individuals and accomplishments, those who built the industry, while actively working for systemic change." You mean to rewrite history? Gen Con is where a story of tabletop games is often written, but we accept the challenge of promoting change so that Gen Con is grounded in equality, diversity, and borderless joy. I mean, all I can say is I certainly hope he buys them. You know, you see here that loser Ian Miles Chungus from Malaysia pretends to be American, pretends to care about American things when he doesn't. Saying Rip Dungeons and Dragons. Jason Tondra, the project lead at D&D, senior designer at Hasbro's Wizards of the Coast, explains that the intended audience is woke and that Wizards of the Coast doesn't give a damn about what Elon Musk or any other grognard, which is slang for old school players, thinks. Cool. We'll see how that works out for him. We'll see how that works out. You see Elon Musk saying, how much is Hasbro? It's actually pretty cheap. The company's struggling mightily. The company's struggling mightily. So yeah, I would be absolutely for Elon Musk buying this company. It should be interesting to see. I hope you enjoyed that. I'd spend money with Magic the Gathering again. If Elon buys Hasbro, I'll buy Magic cards again. And if you know my history, I bought a lot of Magic cards. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe or follow down below. And we'll talk to you again real soon.